Hey guys, how's it going? Jack Kellogg here. Long time no see. I actually have not made a video since my 2021 first 6 month recap, 6 million in 6 months. I'll put a link to the description in that and be sure to check that out because that's probably my best video that I've ever made. I asked for 500 or 1,000 likes, something like that, and I told you guys that I'd make another video. I thought over the next couple months about kind of the next video that I wanted to make. I really wanted to wait till 2021 to finish to make the next 6 month recap. And to tell you guys the truth, it was a very different 6 months. I did not make $6 million in 6 months. I actually only ended up making 665,920 and 14 cents over the next 6 months, which is still great money, but it was very inconsistent, very choppy trading, and I was not performing anywhere near my best. And that's okay because you have to ask yourself, why were the next 6 months of the year so much different than the first 6 months? And that is because we saw a serious market shift with OTCs becoming pretty much extinct the last 6 months, especially the last 3 or 4 months, per se. And also to make the amount of money that I did in the first 6 months, you have to think that I got a little bit complacent. I got a little bit lazy. I kind of just was like, okay, I'll just wait for what makes sense. And now, after these 6 months have passed and going into 2022, I realized that I have to adapt as a trader. And it's been a long enough time for me now to realize what I have to do. I've had a lot of time to think instead of work. As you can see, all these blank days here where I did not trade. And that is actually a first for me. I have been trading pretty much every single day since January of 2018 and even a bunch in 2017. So it's been quite the 4 to 5 year journey for me of putting in the work every single day. So the main thing that I was focused on was taking a couple of these summer months off. So I took a lot of time off in July, the most I could. I went on a few trips all around, and August I was in Italy for 3 weeks, and I think this is the longest break I've ever taken. Almost 2 weeks with zero trades. As you can see, like I can go a few days to a week, and then I start to get itchy, and I go for a trade. But anyway, as you can see, like these months I tried to have the mindset of, okay, I have a lot of capital, so I'm going to just wait for the best opportunities and show up and hit those hard, and then peace out. But that I found is very, very hard to do. You really have to stay focused on the tape and always be practicing and not be rusty. You got to be in the batting cage every single day, taking free throws, whatever it is, practicing and practicing, staying ready, because you can't just show up and expect to nail the big opportunities. As you can see, like my win percent was around 50-50 with these big opportunities. Like I would make big, then I'd lose big, would make big, lose big, etc. So it was very break even and a lot of unnecessary emotional swings I had to go through to end up not making too much. Other than October, October was my best month. September, I tried to, after taking those big upswings and large downswings, I tried September to size down and really just focus on taking singles. And this was actually probably my best month of taking singles. And actually, it looks like my average gain and loss were about the same. Um, Looks like I missed my win percent, but let's just see here on the monthly review on my win percent for September. It was about 59%. Okay. So that's a little confusing, but I guess that's the data for this month. Moving on to October. October was by far my best month trading. I did good for a bunch of weeks here, and I was ready for the A plus opportunity on DWOC and PHUN. And instead of having these large downswings, I was ready. I was focused. I had these few days before. I had a few days off before I came back, and I just absolutely nailed. And then I nailed again, and then it started to get choppy, and I sized down once again. And this month as well, I did have a large swing on Shiba. It was a very good crypto trade for me. So this month was really, really good. I don't have the crypto trade added here. This is just stocks. So this was my best month in October. This is the kind of month I would have the first 6 months. So it was nice still to have one really, really, really solid month. And although this kind of set me up for failure in November and December and this month as well, because I just started thinking that, okay, hold on, guys. I'm going to pause this and plug in my laptop. I'm so sorry. I will be right back. All right, I plugged in my laptop so we don't have to worry about the battery dying anymore. So what I was saying was October set me up for failure for November and December because statistically, I knew that OTCs and small caps, they tend to get hot towards the end of the year and the beginning of the year over the past 4 or 5 years that I've been a trader. So we've had at least 1 or 2 good months during that time span every single year. And unfortunately, I didn't think, what if they didn't come back? Or what if there wasn't a lot of momentum? So I came in with that wrong mentality, especially after having that huge win on October 22nd, which really kind of didn't even make me question what if they don't come back since I nailed so big. And then came November and I lost about 257,000. And unfortunately, it's about the lowest my win percent has ever been. 37% average loss, bigger than my average win. And it actually happened the 2nd of November. I took a huge loss on CAR. It was a parabolic short. It was pretty nuts considering that it went straight up for probably like 30 minutes to an hour before pulling back. And I got trapped in that first wave of consolidation, I think near 400 before it went to like 500 or 600. But anyway, I'm not going to go over any charts in this recap. I'm just going to stick to the numbers and the mindset and the thought process behind the last 6 months and coming into 2022. If you guys want to see charts and you guys want to watch another really, 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 really good recap, go check out Mari's recap. She's making this recap on the entire year for 2021. She's including charts. It's going to be great. I can't wait to watch it. So I'll also put a link to that in the description. Both our videos will be dropping at the same time, January 23rd at 3 p.m. So if you watch mine, please watch hers as well because it's going to be really, really good. And I know she made a PowerPoint and she's been preparing. It's going to be so good. So go watch that. Anyway, November was really, really bad on CAR. And after that happened, I realized, oh crap, like I'll just wait for OTCs, right? I'll wait for OTCs because NASDAQs, they suck. Like I've traded them the last 4 months, 5, 6, 7 months, whatever it's been. And I can't manage my risk as well. And I'm not as good at them as I am with OTCs. So I waited and I took a couple small trades here and there. And anyway, I just ended up starting to trade really emotional and I couldn't really control my losses. Like as you see, 15K here, 26K, 28K, 30K. Now those don't look like big losses compared to some of these other losses, but these are really big losses because I was losing on the trade, so dumb. And I think as I got towards the end of the month, I kind of realized that I'm going to have a red month if I don't get something together. And I just started to try to force trades, and I couldn't accept that I was wrong. So that happened, and I lost a bunch. Um, Now, statistically speaking, 250K is, not a huge portion of my profits. It's very small, and I'll be fine, but it still just sucks. This is probably my first red month in 2 to 3 years, and I didn't really know how to respond to it. So in December, I was like, I'm just gonna size down and take it easy because I don't want to lose a bunch more. And I'm pretty happy with December's trading. I sized down, except for I guess I lost a bunch on the third. I honestly don't even remember what trade that was. But as you can see, like it was very, very hard for me, and like whenever I'd have a gain, it would just be canceled out. And I had one nice trade on Tesla on December 30th. It was a swing short, and that was a good way to close out the year. I'm happy I had that trade, or I wouldn't have really had any wins all month that were decent. And the last month in December, there was really like no action at all in small caps or in OTCs. So I was branching off to trading Tesla a lot, and Mari has gotten really good at that. She's been scalping Tesla every single day for a month or two, and she's been very proficient in that. And for me, it's hard because I'm not really too much of a scalper type. I like to maximize opportunities the best that I can and wait for the A pluses and go in big and trade those the best I can, and kind of that side of my trading sometimes interferes when I'm trying to take a small scalp position, and I understand that. So it's a lot harder for me to be consistent like she can be. Whereas if you look at her profit chart for her first like 50K, she was just making a few $100 a day and inching up, and then she went parabolic into the hot OTC market in December, January, February, earlier this year and late last year. But then it took her a few months, but I finally feel like she's back at where she started, scalping a couple thousand a day, and it's really adding up. And I'm still trying to figure out like who I am and my identity, because it's been a longer time frame for me, 4 years, 5 years of doing this. And to tell you the truth, I am down just over six figures this month as well. It's January 23rd. So I've been doing my best to get my stuff together, and I've been talking out loud a lot of my ideas, talking with other people, kind of like seeing where I stand. And I really feel like I'm turning the page in mindset at least. Also, November and December and even October, I wasn't doing the best mentally. So I know that that also had an effect on me. And now I'm doing a lot better. So that's going to help a lot moving forward. And when 2022 started, I kind of just wanted to put 2021 in the past and go out and have a few big trades and get the year going. And that was the wrong mentality there. So I think that the main thing that I have to do is really, I have to open an account with much smaller size, whatever it's going to be, 50, 100K, 150K, 200K, that I can trade to just stay active, right? To stay active, show up, try to make $500, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, whatever, and stay in the game and practice reading the tape and staying sharp rather than just trying to show up for a big opportunity and try to nail it. I tried to do that with BBIG. I didn't trade for like a week, and I showed up for BBIG and I was just all over the place. And I did not trade it well, even though the pattern played out pretty perfectly. And in any other scenario, I would have nailed that trade, shorting the low fives, risking the 550 area and covering into the mid fours, low fours. That was just a trade earlier this week if you guys want to check out the chart. Anyway, I have to have a small account that I can trade with, and other than that, I'll have my bigger account for the A plus opportunities, and when the A plus opportunities come, I'll fire up the bigger account and I'll be more sharp and not rusty for those opportunities, and that's when I can capitalize. So that's kind of my thoughts now on how I feel like I'm turning the page and really feel like I have gotten through the hard time for me, even though I haven't profited or anything yet. I just feel that I've taken these last few months and really I've done a lot of thinking, especially on all my days off from trading these last 3 months, and I'm pretty happy with the first half of these last 6 months: July, August, September, October, because I did what I wanted. I sized down, and I still sized up on the wrong. I still sized up without being sharp and ready, and I had to learn that. And I also took time to really forget about the market, just relax, be on vacation, spend time with Mari, family, friends, and really just kind of de-stress from the last 4 years of putting so much pressure on myself to perform. And I know that I've been really quiet on Twitter and Instagram and Profitly and bunch of other rooms and talking with friends and people. So if you are watching this and you know me personally through trading or whatever it is, I have just kind of been figuring all this stuff out and going through a lot. So I apologize for my absence, and I know you guys will understand. But anyway, I want to get into a few more statistics here. So here's my monthly review. We don't really need to go over this, but we will go over the year review. So this is the year-end results. I'm very happy with my winning trades. I had a bunch of 40, 50, 30K, a bunch of six-figure trades as well. And if you scroll down to the bottom, I just had a few big losses here, and other than that, I kept my losses pretty small. As you can say, I was saying like the 20 and 30K loss days are pretty bad. Like as you can see, like I didn't really have that many 20 to 30K loss days until it got towards the end of the year, and I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I really lost a lot in November, a lot of big losses. So the average price of my winner is 90 cents and the average price of my loser is 40 cents. So that's interesting to know that I actually do better on higher priced stocks. And it's good to see that I have more size, almost triple the amount of size in my winning positions than losing positions. And this is just the share size. I traded 75% OTCs. My NASDAQ win rate was 65 and my OTC win rate was 64.4. So that's very similar, and that's cool to see that I'm proficient win rate about the same exact. So it's cool to see that they evened out. NASDAQ P&L was 2.4 and OTC was 4.2. That's also really cool because I traded OTC 25% of the time more, and I had about almost double the profit. So I did slightly better on OTC, even though my profit factor on NASDAQ was slightly higher. My long win percent was 62 and my short win percent was 73.7. And I made, once again, about 4.2 long and about 2.5 short. And I would say that most of the long P&L was OTC, but I still had a few really good OTC shorts like WNDW. right here. That was a really good short for me. Average profit was about 12K. Average loss was about 6K. And yeah, that's about it. That's what I wanted to cover. So those are just some stats. If you guys are curious, I think it's really cool how they played out and everything. Nothing's really an outlier, right? Everything is statistically appealing and appeasing. And now I'll get into kind of the pattern performance part. I spent about 50 grand or 49K in short locates. That's really good for the amount of money that I made. But considering that a lot of my trading was OTCs, um, they don't cost, it was a lot of long trading. So it was about 75% long. So I'm sure these fees would have been a lot more if I was primarily a short seller. But net on the year ended up making 6.6 and the gross was 6.7. Um, OTCs, OTC breakouts were my best strategy. And behind that, I have the OTC swing trades and the panic dip buys. And those really were my main three patterns for a large majority of the year. And as OTCs kind of go a lot more extinct and they have lighter volume, I'm not going to be able to trade these four main patterns, which this is really what I learned 2017, 2018, 2019, and it set me up for the hot OTC market. But now I realize I'm going to have to adapt and move into different sectors. So small caps is definitely the main thing that I want to focus on. And once I feel like I'm more comfortable with small caps, I want to get into larger cap swings, mid caps, and have those kind of transfer into those, especially with the capital that I have. Um, OTCs, I'll always know how to trade, and I'm sure if they ever come back, I'd be ready to nail. But for right now, I have to accept that they're probably going to go away for a long time, especially um, as the overall markets are really are really selling off quite largely in the beginning of the year. Who knows what it's going to lead to for the rest of the year? But for right now, I have to accept that they've been gone for pretty much a year, and it's time to move on. I will be starting to kind of follow newer traders and see different kinds of strategies and keep myself more open now rather than waiting. I want to kind of move on and yeah. So OTC shorts, I still did really good for the amount of trades that I took on these. I wait for the best setups and I went in. Same with my listed shorts. I did not take that many short trades. As you guys can see, it was like 250 short trades. And I profited really nicely. I was really scared to short um, a lot of stocks this year because of how bullish everything was. And I felt like whenever I shorted, I would always lose. So I waited for the best opportunities. And if I started shorting more aggressively towards the end of the year, I probably would have made a lot more. But I was still kind of reserved and I still was very open and I liked going long a lot more. But now as the markets are selling off, I realize I have to get better at shorting. As you can see, January and February were just absolutely nuts for OTC longs, OTC shorts as well. The whole entire OTC sector was just nuts, and I was still making decent profits everywhere else as well. March was really good as well, really consistent month. April was my first slower month, but I still ended up locking in a few good swing trades that I had left over. But this is when the momentum really started to shift and it got a little bit more difficult. And then in May, this was a GME. It was a good trade. I think I made like 200K that day, and that was most of my month. But I still had a few good OTC trades. And then in June, I was actually red on OTCs, and that was my best NASDAQ month with AMC. Did really, really good on that. That was my best NASDAQ trade of the year was AMC. And then July was red on OTCs again. Still was doing good. Did pretty good on NASDAQs. And then in August, I had a couple OTC trades, and then I was break even on NASDAQs. September did really well on taking it slow, and OTCs are still tradable, but you have to trade them like perfect to make like a 5K trade, 10K trade. Um, and the liquidity is just not good. And if you're wrong, you're going to lose more than you expect because it's hard to get out. And my Nasdaq game start wasn't very good that month. October, like I said, DWAC and fun, um, nailed it. Those trades were really good. And going into November was pretty much red on everything except OTC shorts. Not even sure what I shorted. Oh, this was HTZZ. That was actually a good opportunity. Wish I only traded that this month, but I started getting clapped on in November, and then I have a more breakdown of the stats here. I've always had 3-1 exactly on OTC breakouts, 61 win percent. When I chase the breakout, my stats are a lot more break even. The dip buys, high win percent, 86% on the year, but I ended up taking that loss on MMNFF and DPLS, so that's like the majority of my loss. OTC trend change is just a different dip buy term, where I kind of wait for there to be a lower high, or a high or low, sorry. And that was good. First green days was pretty solid as well. Lower win percent, but good risk to reward, good profit factor on the year. Swing trades, my average percent gain was 100%. Average percent loss was 25%. Really, really nuts. Some of the stocks that I was in just went nuts, but I didn't know how to cut some losses, and I ended up probably taking more losses than I should have, as my win percent was less than 50. The win percent was probably like 80%, 90% at the beginning of the year, and if I just had cut everything, these stats would have been actually insane. But as you can say, human nature doesn't want good things to end, so I held on to a few and ended up losing. Buying news, made me 10K this year, whatever. Scouts, 15K. And then getting into the shorts. This was very interesting for me to look at. I thought I would do better on overextended gap ups this year, but my win percent was only 60, and it was about 80 on the gap downs. So moving forward, OTC gap downs are, and I always like to risk 10K on these, so it's nice to see that my average loss is right around where I like to risk. So my profit factor was just a lot better. So moving forward, I think that the gap downs I could size up more on them this year, and if they ever come back, and size down less on the gap ups. Not much here. OTC parabolics, 96 win percent on a 25 count, which is pretty good. You can't go too big and squeeze yourself, but they do make for very consistent money. Michael Good and Kyle Williams also trade them, and it's a very consistent strategy, but you just can't size up too much. Like I lost like $3,000, so I think I lost like one trade, and I was actually right on that trade. I remember too. I just messed it up. It was BTCS when it was at like $3. OTC, that's a bounce short, and this is a breakdown. Solid stats. And then getting into listed breakouts. I had one main trade on AMC for 150K, and the rest was probably just blah. But that one trade was worth it. Listed dip buys, also high win percent, but the average loss is large. And you just have to understand that's the type of strategy dip buying is. Listed first green day, I'm going to cut this out this year. 35% win rate on a 25 count, 23 count. So I'm going to cut that out. Listed swing trades, pretty good. Listed scalp, And then moving into listed shorts. As you can see, I also did better on the gap downs than the gap ups. I lost a bit more on the gap downs because usually the risk is a lot wider than the gap ups, but the win percent is higher. And if this was 2020, my stats with the gap up would be a lot better, but now the gap down's better. I think because the market was so strong that when stuff gapped up, it was very hard for it to sell off. So maybe the gap ups will be better this year, but definitely keeping these stats in mind. And then there's a few more, nothing really. The listed parabolic I didn't really cover on this. I usually went pretty big on this, as you can see. Average dollar gains 48K, average loss 24K. I went big on these. Not sure why, so I'm going to be cautious moving forward on those. And yeah, now I will show you guys my profit chart. As you can see, this was in June, so I really went sideways. As you can see, like nothing really happened except for DWOC and Fund. Like that was everything, right? That trade was that back-to-back day of making almost like 800K. And now, as you can see, I've been losing for 3 months, but in the retrospect of everything, I am down 400K. But if you look from the beginning, it's not that bad. If I never had that big trade on DWOC and Fund and I started to fade off, I feel like it would be a lot harder mentally. But I'm still above these highs here, and now I feel like I know what I'm doing, and I'm feeling a lot better. So hopefully we can put a bottom in here, hold this former resistance, make it into support, and we can start uptrending towards that $9 million mark. And hopefully this year we can get over 10 million at some point. Not really sure when or if it will happen, but I'm gonna try my hardest. And finally feeling back on track, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, make sure to watch Mari's video. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to watch it. Make sure to watch my previous how I made 6 million in 6 months. This video lesson was a lot different. It went over kind of what happens after you come off a really hot market and when euphoria is to the max. This is just straight euphoria, guys. It's not realistic to go straight up like this. And I am happy at the end of the day that I didn't lose 50% of my profits. And I am happy that I'm above where I was 6 months ago. So everything's okay. And I found out what I needed to do to, be more consistent, be in the game, and also be ready for those A+ opportunities because that's the type of trader I am. Anyway, guys, please hit the like and please subscribe. It was great talking. I hope this video still gets the views that it deserves because I feel like there's a lot of information in here. And I'm just sorry that it took so long. I have been busy, but I am turning the page. So I'm super excited to move forward and get back on track with everything. All right, guys. Have a good rest of your weekend. Football Sunday today. I'll be rooting for the Buccaneers and Tom Brady to see if he can do it again. I love rooting for the GOATs and seeing how far they can take it. But all right, I'll see you guys later. I'll stop talking now. I'll probably see you in June for a 6-month recap. Later.